Welcome to the Toastmasters Experience. My name is Evelyn. Get inspired by today's Toastmasters insights. Enjoy the show. And welcome to another episode of the Toastmasters Experience. I'm excited and delighted to have Colin on the Zoom airwaves today. Welcome, Colin.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here.
Yeah, I'm so excited to have you here. Now, we're going to start at the very beginning. What motivated you to join Toastmasters? What clubs are you currently in? And how long have you been a Toastmaster?
Well, I saw Toastmasters advertisements in the local newspaper. It must have been 30 years ago, and I thought, I've got to give that a go one day. So I procrastinated for 20 years, and 10 years ago, just over 10 years ago, I wandered into a club called Redlands, just outside Brisbane, and I was in there 5 minutes and I knew I'd found my people. At the moment, I'm a member of Leading Edge Advanced Toastmasters Club in Carindale in Brisbane.
I personally met you in Los Angeles because you were a semi-finalist. Can you sort of let me know how, was that your first time getting to the world stage?
It was my first time, and it will be my last time as well, because I retired from competitive speaking now because I have so many other things on. But it was a very surreal experience. I worked hard to get there, but to me, the best thing about being there was having so many of my club mates who made the flight from Brisbane to Los Angeles, and to have them in the audience while I was competing was just absolutely mind-blowing.
So you said this was your last time competing. Have you been competing a lot since?
Probably in my second year, I started competing in a novice competition in my club and the area, and I won that, and it gave me a taste for competitive speaking. And I've put a lot of effort in, mainly into doing international speeches and humorous speeches. Table topics and evaluation are not really my cup of tea. I enjoy the process of writing speeches and then getting to the stage where they can go through. I've made district 5 times in humorous and twice in international.
Wow. Have you ever done that in the same year?
Yeah, I came second in both one year, and then last year I won both. I won the international and the humorous last year.
And then you were chosen to go as a semifinalist to Los Angeles. Now, when you were given the news that you were going to Los Angeles, can you just sort of recall how you were feeling?
It was relief more than anything. When you've done district, the video of your speech goes away and they evaluate it, and I was against, I think, 7 other competitors or 6 other competitors, and the top 2 go through to the finals. And it's a wait of about 6 or 7 weeks. It's a long time to be waiting and not sure. And then when it's eventually announced, it is more a relief than anything.
In that period that you were waiting, were you preparing a second speech during that time?
As it happens, I had a second speech that I'd used when I'd come second a couple of years earlier, and I had that one waiting. And when I'd finished preparing that speech, the 2 speeches, I didn't know which was my favorite. They were both, I thought, the same level. Then I had to make the decision, what speech do I use in the semi-final and what in the final? I went one way, and I'm not regretting it. I did the speech well. The only thing I am but I'm sad about, is that people didn't get to see me do my second speech, which is one of my favorite speeches.
Would you say that it was more favorite than the one that you competed at your semi-final?
No, there were 2 completely different speeches. One had 0 humor in it, and the other one had bits of humor in it. But although it had bits of humor in it, it was a much darker speech, a much deeper speech. They both had pros and cons to them, and it was hard to compare them because they were such different speeches.
Can you just share a little bit about the speech that you didn't share?
The speech I didn't share it was called Helen, and it was the story in it was when I was at primary school, we had a teacher who, although a good teacher, had flaws and he was a bully. And one day, this young boy was at the blackboard trying to solve a problem and he started hitting him on the back of the legs with his cane and he wouldn't stop. And it turns out that the boy was his son.
Oh.
And no one spoke up except this little girl called Helen. She stood up and said, like, stop that now. It made me realize that we should all be standing up. When we see injustice, we should all be standing up. And then Helen became my role model and a hero. So that's what the speech was about, more or less.
Okay. Oh, that sounds like it would have pulled at the heartstrings. So, yeah, but I I've always wondered that because I've interviewed a few finalists. Like, which speech do you choose? Because I guess a lot of them I've spoken to said that they've chosen the speech that pretty much got them through. But then you would think the speech that you would give on the world stage if you win the finals wouldn't be, well, I shouldn't say wouldn't be as good, but wouldn't be, people wouldn't have seen it. So maybe that's why they do that, because it's that element of surprise, you
Yeah.
know?
The thing is, a lot of people will go with the one they've always used all the way through the year,
Hmm.
and that's not a bad idea. What happens sometimes is people will go with one good speech and not even have a second speech ready, like as ready as it can be.
Hmm.
So quite often you'll find the semi-final quality
Yep.
is better than the final quality.
Yeah, I must admit I did notice that with a few of the speakers who went through to the finals, that I found that their semifinal speech was a lot better than their,
Yeah.
than their final speech. So I probably would do the same, thinking I wouldn't even make the finals. It was an interesting competition because we had so many, I mean, I don't want to say scandals, but we had so many interests. Like, there was a long wait before we got the results. And then, was it one or was it two people who actually went overtime? I can't
There
remember.
were there were two people in the final out of eight that
Hmm.
were qualified for speaking overtime, which at that level
Yeah.
is ridiculous. I mean, you've got lights there, but it only shows that people weren't as prepared as they should have been.
Yeah.
You'll sometimes find this in humorous speech contests where you get through the club, the area, the division, and then at district, you've got a much bigger crowd and you get more laughter.
Yeah.
And if you're waiting for the laughter to stop, that can easily take you into overtime and get you disqualified. But
Yeah.
an international speech, you should be looking at 6.5 minutes, and then you shouldn't be able to go wrong if you're aiming at 6.5 minutes.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And you do have the lights there, like you said. So
Yeah.
you would know that once the red goes on, you really need to wrap it up.
In my winning speech in the humorous speech contest at district, I did it in 7 minutes 27.
Oh my gosh.
So I was dicing with trouble there.
Wow, wow, that's a bit nerve-wracking. I actually find it nerve-wracking as soon as the red light comes on. You mentioned that you are retiring. Is that correct? So you're retiring from competitive speaking.
Yes, yes. I set myself the goal to win either district, international, or humorous. And then when I won them both, there was sort of no arguing, no going back then. I'll be a Toastmaster until I die. It's just the competitive thing. It's a lot of effort. It's well worth it,
Mm.
but it is a lot of effort. I have so many other things on at the moment that something had to give. And I'm still happy to help club mates perfect their speeches or make their speeches a bit better. But as for me, I've done it now. I've achieved what I wanted to achieve, and I'll just settle back and watch the others and enjoy.
Yeah, I know that you've written a book. Can you tell me a little bit about the book that you've written and what's it called?
It's called Now That I Have Your Attention, How You Can Stand Out as a Speaker or Presenter. It's basically tips on how to engage with audiences. It's not about writing your speeches, it's not about stagecraft, it's just about purely engaging with your audiences with authenticity and humor, turning a speech into a conversation.
Hmm.
It's something that's always interested me, and I brought it out a couple of years ago. It was a bit of effort. It was a lot of effort, actually, and the
Hmm.
lady who was doing my editing was always on at me saying, "Colin, you've got to do another chapter this week," and blah blah blah. And it made me think about speech writing and speech presenting.
Hmm.
And that's the best thing of it for me, that it made me think, how do I view these aspects of the craft?
Yeah. And it's something because you are in Toastmasters. So I guess it worked really well to write a book like this because you are
Yeah.
a speech coach. Is that correct?
Yes, I do some speech coaching with corporate people
Hmm.
and some school children as well.
Okay. And
So it's both ends of this scale.
okay. And okay, that's interesting. Now, who do you find is the easier age to work with?
I love working with the children because I've gone into rooms that have had maybe 8 children in there, and they're all homeschool children that I deal with.
Hmm.
And some of them are very introverted and no one wants to be the first to get up and speak. But after 3 or 4 weeks, I find them all eager to get up because they've got something worth presenting, and they know the structure that they should be aiming for. They know that they should have a story and a meaning and a message. And they enjoy getting up, and to see someone going from not wanting to even look up to getting up and speaking out is wonderful.
Is that one of the reasons you actually wrote your book for your coaching business, or was it a book that maybe somebody recommended that you do?
I think it's part of it because for the coaching business, because what I do is if I deal with a corporate organization, I'll give them a copy of my book.
Hmm.
They'll read it, and it doesn't take much reading. Only a couple of hours you can read it. And if they like the messages I'm giving in there, they will get me in to speak to their people. Quite often there are chapters in it. They're only small chapters that capture their attention and make them think, I want our people to be communicating better in the workplace.
Okay. And in your book, just out of curiosity, I haven't received it yet. It's in the mail. I know that.
Uh-huh.
Does it? Do you also talk about Toastmasters?
I mentioned Toastmasters, yeah, and I talk about Toastmasters as being the place to go to practice your skill, the place to go to practice because it's a safe place. It's
Yeah.
like a tightrope walker. It's Toastmasters is the net. You will fail, but the net's there to catch you. And no one's going to chastise you about doing something wrong at Toastmasters. Everyone is supportive. And that's what's so great about Toastmasters is it's an environment where you can make mistakes so you don't have to make mistakes in the real world.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I absolutely agree. Now, has there been something about Toastmasters that has surprised you?
Yeah, I've been asked in the past to be like an area director or a division director, and I'm not interested really in the politics of Toastmasters, but I'm more interested in the real speaking and leading part of it. I will be an area director now that I've stopped competing because when you compete, obviously you can't be in any of those positions. It surprised me. There are like two different types of Toastmasters. One are all about speaking,
Yep.
and some are all about leadership. And then there's a whole mess in the middle who are about both.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's absolutely true. Now, we were so lucky in District 70. We actually had the international president, Roddy Spear. She came to our conference and in her keynote, she was talking about that. She said, everybody says that, I don't want to be, the leadership position because I can't go into speaking competitions. And then she just went on to emphasize that, actually in a leadership position, you actually speak more than in a competition. And, she's absolutely right. I mean, it's a different sort of speaking, but it is absolutely, it's absolutely true. So congratulations. Are you going to be area director then for the next term coming up?
I don't think it's the next term. It'll probably be after the one after that. I'm mentoring a club in this year,
Mhm.
and I'm mentoring a few people as well. But in our club, we don't have mentors. because everyone in the club is our mentor. If someone's good at humor, we'll ask them a question about it. If someone's good at structure, we'll ask them. And we share, and it's much better having many mentors than one.
I know that there's something else that Toastmasters has introduced you to. And I know that you will be going on some sort of holiday next year. Can you let the can you let the audience know what I'm actually talking about?
Yes, I have a member of my club, Graham Cairns, who's been a Toastmaster for forever. And he told me that he does speaking on cruise ships. And would I be interested in speaking to his agent, which I did. And I got placed on a ship when we went to Hawaii last year. And then I did well on that. I got good reports. And then I was asked to go on Viking ocean cruises as a naturalist speaker, which is someone who speaks about the animals and plants of Australia and New Zealand. And it took a lot of study because I'm not an expert on the subject. And I got good ratings there. They have a rating system there, and which meant they asked me to become a resident historian, which means I'll probably spend 5 months a year on board the ships
Wow.
in the northern and southern hemisphere, speaking. I have to do 45-minute sessions, and it's usually every couple of days, every 2 days, you do a 45-minute session on something history-wise. We've got 100-day straight cruise. It's 7 cruises in a row, actually. So we're on a board for 100 days starting at the end of next year. And then after then, it'll be mainly Northern Hemisphere.
I love that. Now, so what does this include? Does it include your, I guess your room and board and your food and excursions, or how does that work?
We get the same room as any passenger, the standard passenger room. We get all flights to and from the ships. We get excursions at each port, and Viking are very good about, they like to stop many times. They're not in the ocean for a long time. They make a lot of stops, and we get excursions wherever we stop. And that's my wife and I, and that's the deal.
Wow. I absolutely love that. I guess they don't give you any spending money though, do they?
They don't. They
Okay.
don't. But you don't need it.
Yeah, that's right. That's absolutely right. I mean, food, travel, accommodation. I mean, this just sounds like a dream come true. And you wouldn't have discovered this if you wouldn't have joined Toastmasters.
There's a lot of things in my life that wouldn't have happened had I not joined Toastmasters. It has been life-changing without any exaggeration. It's made me a much more confident speaker. Just recently, the 2025 District 69 conference, I emceed it. And if you would have seen me MC 10 years ago, and now it's just chalk and cheese. I was prepared, and preparation is the biggest, most important part of it. I was prepared, I was confident, and it made all the difference. It doesn't matter what walk of life you're in, getting the confidence of becoming a confident speaker is absolutely priceless.
It's so essential, and it doesn't matter how old you are. Now, I was at the conference 3 weeks ago at the District 70, and I interviewed somebody there, did a little bit of rove reporting, and he had just joined Toastmasters, and he joined at the age of 75.
That's
I,
incredible.
I know it's incredible, but he loves it. I think he's area director. He's been talked into doing all of these roles, you know.
Yeah.
So, but it's changed his life, and so there's no age limit at all, you know, to join. Just I think you have to be at least 18. But I think all of us who join, we wish we would have joined at 18 because that would have definitely improved our speaking. So, besides speaking, and are there any besides, you know, you're doing the coaching, you've written the book, and now you're going to be doing the cruising. Are there any books or resources that you sort of follow that just motivate you to be a better person?
I watch good speakers. I don't so much read about them, as I watch them. I've got a favorite speaker who's Sir Ken Robinson.
Yes.
He's
Uh-huh.
a British educator who based himself in America, and he has a wonderful, calm way of talking. And what he does is he says something like a dad joke, and the audience are laughing, and then he'll hit them with a serious topic straight after that. And what it does is the contrast makes the topic all the more serious.
Mm.
And he's having a chat with the audience and having a little laugh, but then telling them something important. And I think it's important for all of us to be able to break down the barrier between the speaker and the audience and really get your message across by putting them off guard with humor is one of the wonderful ways of doing it.
Yeah, I definitely agree. What I find so interesting, like you're going to be this historian on the boat, but I've been on cruises before where I actually thought the person speaking had to be an academic or a historian. And I must admit, some of them have been quite boring. So when you said that you went on this cruise with Graham, was it kind of like a an initiation cruise?
Um, it was to see how I could present that you're right, generally the people speaking on cruises are experts who have to learn to speak, whereas I could speak and had to learn the subject, which is probably a lot more work for me, but I enjoy it. The research that I've done has made me learn so much, and it makes me really appreciate things when I go to other places. And if I know the history, or when I'm talking nature, know the animals that are there, it makes it more enriching.
Hmm. Hmm. And do you sell your books when you're on the cruise?
The books are for sale in the shop on the ship. Yeah,
Okay, okay. And actually, just for those who are listening now, and if they do want to buy your book, how would they buy your book?
probably the best way to do it would be through. It's on Amazon and those kind of places as well, but it's probably cheaper if you email me. Do you have?
Yeah, I can put that on the show notes. So is
Yeah,
the best one Colin at
Colin.
colinwilliams.com.au?
That's the one.
Okay, great. I'll have that in the show notes. So if anybody wants to order the book, they can order it through that or also Amazon. I mean, just in case you're on a cruise, they can probably go through Amazon might be better. And sorry, what was the name of the book again?
It's called Now That I Have Your Attention.
Okay. Fantastic, fantastic. So now that your life seems to be changing now because you're slowly going to be preparing for your cruise. Well, I mean, when are you actually leaving for that cruise?
That's not until December next year.
Oh, okay. So you do
But there,
have
there may be a few smaller ones between now and then.
okay. So you will be doing some smaller ones, or
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
okay,
Um,
okay.
I haven't got anything booked yet, but there are some available. My wife's still working, but once she retires at the end of this year, it's open slather. We'll just
Yeah,
go for it.
yeah. I think, you know, what inspires me listening to you is that Toastmasters does open opportunities that we don't even think about. Like, I would have never thought speaking on a cruise ship, but I think there are opportunities to speak out there that aren't necessarily, like being a motivational speaker and a presentation speaker. But speaking on a cruise, I think is something that it is really interesting because you've got another friend who does it as well. It was Graham. Is that correct? He does that?
That's right. Yeah, he does. Yes, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So so that's another a job for us Toastmasters
Here's,
as we
here-
retire. Yeah.
Here's another secret that I've learned. When somebody asks you if you can do something, say yes, and then figure out how you're going to do it. Because they said to me, I'd done like a history tour, because history is probably my thing. And they said, can you be a naturalist on this next cruise? And I said, yes, not knowing that much about the natural world. But I just threw myself into study, built my PowerPoint presentations, and then delivered. And you'll be surprised because on Viking, 95% of the passengers in Australia anyway were American. It's surprising the number of people come and says, you know so much about animals, but I know just as much as I've learned to do this cruise. It's rewarding, and I'm 69 now, and just to be pushing myself out of my comfort zone is so refreshing. I went through my years of work, just working, but now that I'm in retirement, I'm just saying yes to everything. Last year, I competed in slam poetry competitions. I've done stand-up comedy. It's say yes to everything, have a go at everything, and you never know what's going to catch your fancy.
That's so true. You don't know. Yeah. Wow. I love that. I love that. So sometimes, people just join Toastmasters just to become more confident, but then they can get a whole new sort of another chapter of their life. And
Absolutely.
it sounds like that is what is happening for you. Colin, it's been such a pleasure having you on the Toastmasters experience. I mean, you've really inspired me to look further, to look further at, cruise ships or whatever. I mean, and writing a book, it just sounds, you've done so much. Now, what advice would you give someone considering joining Toastmasters?
I would say join for a start. Just join. Go along to the first one, go along to the second meeting, join. But if you're going to join, I would say throw yourself into it. Don't just turn up each fortnight and go through the motions. Do something each week that improves you. Always be looking for improvement. Don't just be a member, be an active member. And that way that you'll progress so much quicker.
Definitely, definitely. Thanks so much, Colin. It's been such a lovely, lovely interview with you. Thank you.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure. Thanks, Evelyn.
Thank you so much for your company. Please tune in next time to the Toastmasters Experience.